Hey people, I just wanted to say hello and thank you to everyone who helped the page reach this crazy milestone. I wanted to do something sentimental for this 300,000 sub video, so I've decided to finally release the animation of possibly the funniest story I've ever heard. Now this video means a lot to me because a year ago, back before I had any kind of real following, I was just in bed chilling and a random dude called Marcus Cook DM'd me arguably the funniest story I've ever heard. Now since then, as you can see in the background, we've gone on to make a whole series together, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. Definitely check out Marcus at Detroit International if you haven't already. But yeah, as you might be able to tell from the animation, this was one of the first ever videos I animated for my page. But still, to this day, it's one of my favorites. So be sure to sub if you haven't already. I know a lot of you still be watching it without subbing, but regardless, sit back and enjoy. Hey, run the video.
Finally get to the party, right? Looking around, I'm like, man, where is she? Finally see the girl who invited me. I slide up on her. I'm like, yo, what's going on? How you doing? Put my arm on the wall. I'm laying my best Mac, and she feeling every single letter. Or in my mind, I think she is, right? So we chopping it up, and finally this dude walk up. I'm like, hey, man, don't you see me talking? I'm gonna need you to back up, man. Like, all these people in the party, you coming over here? Come on, man. So I finally like, hey, baby. I'm like, look, bro, I'm not down with that freaky stuff. You know what I mean? So I finally like, y'all a couple? All right, my bad. So I'm looking around. I see this chick sitting down. I'm like, Finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm about to approach. Hey, what's up? How you doing? She like, hey. I'm like, am I if I sit down? She like, yo, it's a free country. I'm like, cool. So I sit down. You know, I'm a little nervous at first, so I'm chilling. Then I was like, look, you want something to drink? She like, yeah, I can drink. I'm like, cool. Don't get up. I got you. Right, so cool, I get up, I go get the drinks, right, I come back, you know, we sitting there, we drinking, you know, kind of, you know, trying to break the ice, relax, and finally I was like, yo, you want something else to drink? She like, yeah, because she kind of like finished her drink quickly, so I get up, I'm like, cool, so I just bring the bottle over. Now we just sitting there, we drinking, we talking, conversation getting a little X-rated, so she like, listen, I hate when people say something, and they change their mind. I'm like, look, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. She like, no, listen, I hate when people, I'm like, listen. If I say I'm gonna do something, then I'm gonna do it. She like, all right. She like, it's my friend's party, so if you're trying to go hang out in the back, we can. I'm like, what? So I stand up and I'm like, yo, let's roll out. So now, when she reaches on the side of the couch, right, pulls this wheelchair out, in my mind, I'm like, who grandpa wheelchair is this? And why is it at the party? So I'm like, she slides in a wheelchair. I'm like, oh, you're a comedian. Cool, I can appreciate a good joke. I can go with this, right? So I start pushing her through the party. Little do I know, dude's off to the side like, look, I told you somebody go after the chick in the wheelchair. Who is it? It's the only black guy at the party. Look at him, right? So then, you know, they turn on Fall Out Boy. Dance, dance, and she feeling it. She got her hands up. You know, as I'm pushing her through the party, I'm like, yo, excuse me. And then I start feeling it. I'm like, dance, dance. I'm like, yo, man, this is a good little track, man. Like, the liquors kind of hit me as I'm pushing her. So she kind of reaches back, undoing my pants. I'm like, oh, man, this is crazy. So we kind of get in the room, close the door, right? Get the door shut. Then I fell back towards the bed. I'm just like looking at her. The liquor just kind of washes over me. And I'm like, man, she kind of look like she like belong there. She like real comfortable. So I'm like, oh man. So I stand up and she like, look, she reaches over and just pulls my pants down and like pushes me and I fall back on the bed. And then she kind of just backs her wheelchair up to kind of get a running start. And then she just kind of NASCAR towards the bed. So she and ran towards the bed, jumped off her chair and then onto me like a wrestling move. Like a referee came out of nowhere, like 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote. And then she just kind of got into my ear and she was like, you said you was down. I'm like, damn, I did, didn't I? So I'm like, all right, pretzel, put in a pretzel, and you know, I started thinking about old wrestling moves from the 90s. I'm hitting her with sharpshooter, you know what I'm saying? I'm hitting her with ankle locks, you know what I'm saying? With everything under the sun, right? And little do I know, people from the party are kind of coming by the door and kind of listening because they want to see what I got going on in this room. So then she like, all right, tell me something I never heard before. So now I gotta say something she ain't never heard before. So I'm like, I'm gonna make your legs work. So finally she was like, oh, can I say it? I'm like, say what? Black guys are amazing. I'm like, oh no. So right, I'm here laughing and giggling. I'm like, all right. So I'm just kind of getting nervous, and then like, we get done.
Perfect.
And then she like, hey, so what's your number? So I just, I was like, all right, here you go. I gave her my number, and then I'm like, obviously I can't walk out of the front door. So I'm looking at the door, I'm looking at the window, and she's just kind of talking to me. Like, now she like telling me like, I can't wait to tell my mom I have a new boyfriend. I'm just saying, a boyfriend. I'm like, what? I'm just sitting there, I'm shaking like, no. She's like, you're a good guy, and I can see that. Good guy? Huh? And marriage, and what we're gonna name our kids. Name our kids? I'm like, what? So then finally I was just like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So, I step out, and this room had a bathroom connected. So I go in the bathroom, close the door, and then I see the window, and I hop out the window. So I just kind of went to my car. Drinking and driving is wrong. Never do it. So what I did was I took my car and drove around the corner and passed out.